views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Good evening and welcome to BronxTalk. It's become a holiday tradition around here, and it's something we look forward to every single New Year's, and that is to visit with photographer Joe Raskin, who literally wanders New York, and in our case, of course, wanders the Bronx. And he takes incredible photos of some of the most ordinary scenes in the Bronx, and not only turns them into works of art, but he also gives us a chance to look at Bronx scenes that we see every day and get a sense of appreciation and perspective on our beautiful borough of the Bronx. So we've gotten him to stop wandering for at least a few moments so we can spend our fourth annual New Year's visit with him. It is a pleasure to welcome back to BronxTalk, Joe Raskin. Nice to have you with us.
Nice to be here, and my season's greetings to the people of the Bronx as well.
People of the Bronx, and as I told you before the show, that when you take pictures of Queens, Brooklyn, Manhattan, and Staten Island, I'm not really interested.
Right.
But it's those Bronx photos that we want to sink our teeth into. Just for people who may not recall from year to year, talk a little bit about wandering New York, how it got started, and why you do what you do.
Well, I like to go around the city. I've always liked to go around the city in general, but it was my aim to take pictures of buildings, of houses, of scenes that are everyday. That's like everyday. What people see every day and just take for granted. Everybody takes touristy shots. You know, the Empire State Building in the Bronx, Yankee Stadium.
That's the easy stuff.
The easy stuff. And what I want to do is take pictures of things that people take for granted every day, the way the tourists might if they were going around a neighborhood like this.
Mm-hmm. You look at and we're gonna see pictures, and you'll be able to see everything that we're talking about. If you look at your pictures, and we've done this now for a few years, I think there's a bit of a change. That if you look, you're using more of the technology. You're changing some of the lighting, right? You'll play with a photo to give it effect. Right. Talk a little bit about, because I know you're always hesitant because you want, this is what it looks like. But talk about when you choose to do what you decide to do.
My basic thing is when I fool around with the shot, sometimes I'll take different pictures, different pictures of the same thing every so often, and it's just like I try to use different lighting, different looks at sometimes more long shots, sometimes closer in.
I think you're taking more long shots than you used to. Not that I follow him that closely, but it's true. You've been looking, and we're going to see some really cool scenes of. I don't want to say where they are. You'll get to see it in a minute, but really cool scenes of stuff that, well, maybe we don't look at it that way. Last time you were with us, I remember you said you go out every day. You literally go somewhere in New York City every day. Is that still the case?
I try to anyway. Yes.
That's unbelievable.
It's almost it's not my job, but it's just like I feel like I'm not getting around that much if I'm not doing that much if I'm not getting out every day taking pictures of things.
So again, we'll see pictures. You see a building or a row of houses or whatever it is. How many pictures do you take? I mean, it almost looks, and you'll see it, it almost looks ordinary, like, oh, he just took a picture of a house. But I'm guessing you take a lot of different shots.
It varies. Sometimes just one, sometimes more than that. When I, on my way here today, I took a picture on Reservoir Avenue.
Right.
And I took more than a couple of them, just because I didn't like the initial angle, so I wanted to take so I took a couple of them.
In order to get us the different looks at things that we would see normally, you go for different angles. How crazy do you go? Do you climb up trees and stuff
No,
like that?
no. The honest thing I do is like I'll take pictures from subway stations, from elevated subway stations. And, I don't do anything that would get me arrested or killed.
At least that you're going to report on television. Which brings up what I think is important also to mention. Joe had a career in the subways, right? You worked for the MTA.
I worked in. I was assistant director of government community relations for New York City Transit for a number of years. So it gave me the ability to travel around the different parts of the city more. But I always had a little bit of a wanderlust.
Wanderlust, I like that.
To go around the city even before that.
You, I believe, and we'll show a couple of those, you take pictures of a lot of elevated trains and a lot of subways. Still has a visual fascination for you?
Oh, that goes back to my being a toddler almost. My parents don't drive, or didn't drive. And
so it was always on the trains.
Always on the subway. So like when we lived in Brooklyn, we'd go up to the Bronx if it's my grandmother. So we'd ride all the way up on what's now the number 2 train, was the number 5 train at that point, to Alton Avenue or to Burke Avenue, depending where they lived at that point.
Right.
So we were always going around the transit system like that.
Those elevated trains have a fascination for you, and because I think when you stand there and we all wait for the subway and you wait for the train, you're waiting for the train, but Joe takes a look at, sometimes you see the tracks have a little of this, which you never realize, all those kinds of things.
It's particularly in the Bronx, the topography of the borough. It's not quite like a roller coaster, but it could be.
Last question before, I don't want to keep teasing people that we're going to see photos, because we are. But the last question: what have you learned? Have you learned anything? Over the years, and how many years have you been doing this?
Wandering New York, I've been doing for about 7 years now. I was doing these pictures before that.
So what have you learned? Has your impression of the city changed? I mean, give me something.
Oh, a greater appreciation of the different neighborhoods. That there's no one monolithic type of neighborhood. There's a lot of stereotypes
certainly not the Bronx. We know about that.
And the people have a greater sense of appreciation for it.
And frankly, through your work, I have gotten we always know that the architecture in the Bronx is very varied, but it's even more so because you go look at neighborhoods that I said, wow, look at that. Are we ready?
Anytime you want.
I don't have a drum roll. We could do a drum roll. So folks upstairs, what do we got? We're going to just show pictures. I know some of them. What do we got here? Let's see. It's coming up. All right, this is a long, I know where this is. Go ahead.
This is looking west along 233rd Street. This is one of the subway station pictures. I took that from the station on the number 2 line. It's looking westward, going towards through Wakefield, going towards Woodlawn.
And this for me is a perfect example of the things we were just talking about. How many times have you been on 233rd Street and whether you're driving, whether you're walking, whether you're even taking the train, and you never took a look how urban it looks, nearby, and then when you look further, it looks like you're going into another country.
And it is, and it's just going from one neighborhood to another. And for some reason, anytime I've been in this area, I find these apartment buildings over here to be fascinating with the fire escapes. I can't explain it.
There is one we're going to show. Yeah. There is one we're going to show that has kind of a geographic look at the. But again, even the variety of architecture, one full side type of apartments on one side, and on the left side totally different row houses. Great. All right, that's number 1. What else we got? We got some more.
This is Fordham Road and University Avenue. This is another building that anytime I'm in the area, I have to take a picture of it. So it depends on different angles. The curvature of the building, the way it's just something about.
And that is the Tallentine Church.
Church.
And again, so you look. This is a major place in the Bronx, and how many times you've been there? I have to tell you, I must have been there thousands of times. I never knew that building was curved.
In that area, it's also a lot. Very unusual architecture on several street corners like this, with different angles, different shapes. It's not a rectangular or a squared shape.
So we're on University there with Fordham. You make a left onto Fordham, or left or right?
This is on looking west on Fordham, going around to University.
Are the colors are vibrant? New camera, old camera?
Or
did you play with it?
Both, but this one actually is a new phone. I took this one with my
a cell phone
with a cell phone.
Well, I think the people at Apple are very happy that you just said that. Anyway, what a wonderful picture, and the sky. I mean, it's just. I'm sorry, folks. You know I love the Bronx. I love Joe's photos. All right, I'm sure there's another one waiting for us.
This is in Cambridge.
Wow. Oh, I thought this was like you went up to the country to shoot this up in the suburbs.
This is I took from Kingsbridge Road. It's just like I've been trying to get this shot for years. The right time of the year, the right look, the right lighting.
So wait a minute. So you went to that spot, and then you've taken pictures, and then you say it's still not right.
Sometimes, yeah. I'll go back a couple times. I don't like to take too many. Do it too often, because if I do it too often, I get jaded on it.
I was about to say then you get bored.
But there are a couple of blocks there that just have. You go by there, and it just I can't resist.
So this is actually Kingsbridge Road, and
from
where?
Kingsbridge Road.
Looking off one of the side
looking north.
streets?
Yeah,
looking north.
Yeah.
Let me just ask you something, folks. We'll interrupt the run of pictures here. How long do you go during the day? Like, do you really wander all day?
It varies a lot. It depends on the weather. It depends on the temperature. It depends on how much energy I have. Things like that.
Yeah, he told me his feet were starting to hurt finally after all the. And do you literally wander, like you get off, presumably on the subway? You get off a subway and then you just go, or do you map it out and plan where you're going to go?
Mostly, I figure out a point A, but not a point B. Sometimes I'll go in one direction, and I'll get off on one train and say I want to go here, but then all of a sudden it occurs to me, no, I don't want to. I want to go that way. I want to do something else.
Maybe we ought to get a BronxNet camera to follow you around the cities one day, or around the Bronx, of course. As I said, I don't care about those other boroughs. All right, let's get off Kingsbridge Road and go somewhere else. Where are we going? See, this is the whole notion of subways and those elevated trains.
This is the Freeman Street station. On the 2 and the 5.
South Bronx.
This is another one of my favorites. I can never take enough pictures of it.
Now, why?
I just various angles. A lot of times I like to actually this is shooting northward. I like to shoot southward towards the Simpson Street station, because the curvature of the tracks.
Well, the curvature is astounding.
Yeah.
I mean, really, you never think of it like that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Not just in the station, but going between stations. Sometimes go to the other end of the station. You can't really make it out, but there's a series of row houses that are just to the north of the station on the west side of Southern Boulevard. That just grab me. The fire escapes, things like that.
The other thing I've learned from watching your photos over the years, if you look on the left side of this photo, the kind of the uniformity of those lampposts, and there's something compelling about it. I don't know how to even describe it. More so now than it used to be.
There's more lighting.
More now than it used to be?
I believe there's more in the station than it used to be. Another station that's like this is on number 1 train, 238th Street. We have a lot of lights very close together, and it has an effect all by itself.
So this was part of the answer to my question of what have you learned. So among the things you've learned, so you also then would see changes in neighborhoods. Wow, fascinating. All right, let's go. I'm ready for the next. And by the way, there's never going to be enough time for these. Now here's more subway stuff.
This is looking from Mesa Avenue, going up the number 5 train towards the Gun Hill Road Station, the Dyer Avenue line.
Now wait, so you are on a...
I'm standing over the tunnel portal, it was a community garden at one point, I guess, but it's just like a little bit of unused land there, and I shot through the fence through the fence up the tracks. The train in the foreground is crossing over Alton Avenue, and the train. This is one time I deliberately came up one way to get. I came up to get the shot.
Specifically.
Specifically, I wanted the shot. I had been on the train that's in the Gun Hill Road station. I ran up as fast as I could.
Sorry for laughing.
Yeah,
I don't.
I came up from the Pelham Parkway station to get it.
Well, what I want to say is what strikes me is it looks like just a quiet little country railroad spot, and of course this is right in the middle of the cacophony of the Bronx in New York City. Just fantastic.
And this goes back to I have a fascination with the Dyer Avenue line because of my book on the unbuilt subway lines. That this was supposed to be part of an extension of the concourse line at one point.
Really?
Not quite down here, but further up by Mickle Avenue, it would have connected in, and when the New York Westchester and Boston Railway went out of business, there was a whole fight over how it would run. And so in effect, that's when they say, "Oh, we'll take over this segment of the line connecting to the White Plains Road line."
Wow, fascinating. All right, let's go. Let's go somewhere else in the Bronx.
This is Longwood.
Look at this building. This is unbelievable. It's so beautiful.
It's a couple fascinating blocks for me. They're like that. It's another one. I've taken this shot before. I'll probably do it again at some point. It's just
so if you go back and take it again, are you going to look for something different, or are you going to say
maybe different time of the day, different lighting? Different time of the year, maybe in the spring when the trees are first blooming, or in the little bit of the tree that you can see, or in the fall when the leaves are turning also.
And the other thing, and it's subtle. And again, now this is Longview. Longwood. I'm sorry. Where in Longwood is this? And I'll tell you what I'm noticing. Go ahead.
It's off of Longwood Avenue. It's to the south. It's a couple blocks in the historic district.
What strikes me is, of course, to the left and to the right are totally different types of housing. I wonder how old this building is. It's got to be 1920s.
Easily.
And the architecture is just spectacular. Yeah. All right, let's go. This is what I was talking about earlier. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
This is East 138th Street in Mott Haven. One of the things that got me into doing this was a long time ago, when there were still phone books to be had. They used one of Edward Hopper's paintings as a cover of it, and that sort of grabbed me. And I've always had
of this spot?
Not of this spot, but this early Sunday morning,
right?
Which is I'm sorry to mention the other borough, Manhattan.
That's okay. We forget.
But it's buildings are long gone, but it's like the effect is the same. I've been trying to match that up since then.
I just think the geometry of it and the geometry of the fire escapes is just extraordinary. Now I think I know exactly where this is. So this is right along 138th Street. And you see, here's the thing. So I've been on that block. I can't even count how many times. And now when you get perspective, it just gives it a whole new look.
I had to wait a little while.
I'm in love with it.
I had to wait a little while for this one. This one is. I was waiting for the traffic to clear to things like that. I couldn't do anything about the van there, but
so I was going to ask you, why would you wait? You waited to make sure to get this shot.
I wanted this shot just because I want it without. Sometimes I'll put with the cars in there. Just to have for the symmetry of it.
Yeah, but you wanted.
But this one looked to me like it had to be without any cause.
I don't want to ask how long you had to wait for the block to clear out. That's another story. That's like looking for a parking space in the Bronx. All right, let's go. What do we got? I'm trying to keep track of how many. We got a bunch. Look at this.
This is in Morris Park. this is even unique to the Bronx. It's like a couple blocks of houses like this along Van Nest Avenue and a couple of side streets. I've never, and I'm sure that as soon as I say this, somebody else is going to say, I know housing like this in other parts of the Bronx.
That's part of the game.
But,
yeah.
but but even for the Bronx, this is unique with the little tower up on top.
Well, and also the shape of the windows on the first floor.
And it's not just the only house on this block like this.
We're going to hear from somebody whose home this is. And I guess.
I probably, yeah.
Look at that, and it's literally on Morris Park Avenue.
No, on Van Nest Avenue.
Van Nest Avenue in the Morris Park section, and this also underscores something that we've suggested. And you've been to Morris Park, you were up at Kingsbridge, you were down in Longwood. I can't believe I'm not saying it right. Longwood. You've been in Mott Haven. That is literally wandering all over the Bronx. All right, let's go. Keep it going. And again, the variety of architecture is amazing.
And speaking of Van Nest, this is in Van Nest. It's on Amethyst. I can't pronounce the name. Amethyst Street.
Amethyst.
When I usually go on this block, the houses across the street that grab me. They have the little bit of that little bit of a tower up on top.
On the left side.
On the left side. But this one I saw this time. How I get this one?
What this when I look at that, I could think of 2 or 3 other neighborhoods in the Bronx that have houses just like this. I think College Avenue in Claremont has houses like this. In Kingsbridge there are houses like this.
And a lot of in Van Nest, and you see some of them elsewhere, but not that much. But there's more of a variety of it in the Bronx.
Okay, we will take your word for it because you've been out there seeing it. All right, let's cue up the next one. What do we got?
This is Valentine Avenue, and
this is a small town in the West.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I like getting these canyon shots of as long as I can. I stand sideways so I can make sure that I can see out the corner of my eye if a car, not in this case, but if cars are coming in the other direction.
But you see, so if somebody is walking or driving or even taking a bus or something like that, they will look down this block and not see it this way. It's the beauty of the photography. Also, I must say, the colors you're getting now are much more vivid than in the past and able to capture the sky, which gives it perspective.
This is an ideal condition for me to get when it's blue skies and a bunch of clouds. I'll take more pictures that way.
So even a gray day, you'll go out.
Oh yeah.
But you'll just look at it in a different way.
A different way. Even rainy days and snowy days, I like to go out and get pictures.
All right, let's go. We're getting close to near the end. Oh, this one, you know that I love this. I said to Joe, when I saw this picture, I said to Joe, make sure you bring this one with us. So I'm going to say it. So this is Fordham Road looking north, right? Along the Grand Concourse. Because usually people, when they get to that spot on Fordham Road and that overpass, they'll look south. But here's a rare shot looking north, and of course the incredible, those of us who remember the Dollar Savings Bank or remember that building.
And that's also why I found out because this concourse was built in, the roadway was built in first. That's why the Fordham Road subway station has that odd look to it.
Fordham Road D train.
On the D and the B. That it's built around. It's built around
right.
the underground.
When you
roadway.
go down there, you got to kind of find your way to get to the tracks, and that's why I never heard that before.
I'm told that. I'm not sure if that's actually the case, but it's a little bit of transit law. So
that's why.
But basically when the IND was built, it was built after a lot of the other things it were built in the city, and it was made. It was built to go around things rather than the other way around with the IRT and the BMT.
Wow. All right, now, was that the end, or do we have others, or is there more? That was the end. All right. So, Joe, when you look at, thank you, applause from everybody in the house. When you look at your next task, I mean, and how do you choose which borough to go to? I mean, there are 5 of them.
I try to rotate. It doesn't always work out that way, but I try to rotate. And I go where inspiration takes me. If I have something specific in mind, I'll go out and take it.
You've already touched on it earlier in the show, and that is about the nature of topography in the Bronx. And I think we all know we have, 60 step streets or something like that in the borough of the Bronx. What are the other differences in either types of architecture, age of buildings, things that you look at, you say, well, this, you may know better than I would, that this is a Queens shot, or this is a Bronx shot. I mean, are there things, we're always looking to characterize our borough.
It just the Bronx to me has more varied architecture than many other or more of it. They have more it has more Art Deco architecture. Other boroughs have it, but not as much. It has that you'll find a house like the ones in Morris Park that you don't find we show that you won't find elsewhere. The houses that house in Van Ness. There are several. There are more of them.
Well, that's what I was saying. Is that when I looked at that, I recognized three different Bronx neighborhoods.
Yeah. So, but it seems to me that maybe there's a little bit more effort put into to coming up.
I wish that were the case. I would love to say that was the case.
Later on, not. But it seemed like when the Grand Concourse was built, or when the house on Marshall Parkway was built. That it was more effort to blend in with the topography than basically saying get out of our way and things like that.
That's a fascinating point of view. How many pictures have you taken?
Oh, I've
tens of thousands
safely. Yeah.
One of the things we didn't mention, which I do want to mention for people who love your work. I mean, I see it on Facebook all the time. But you have your website, you have your Tumblr page. Let's drive people to that, because I'm telling you, I just love it, and that's why we celebrate New Year's, because this is our borough. This is this is where we live.
My Tumblr page is Wandering New York, and you can Google it or just go to Tumblr and find it there. I'm on. I have. So they have the pictures there from Tumblr. Also, my Instagram pictures will show up there as well.
Oh, on there as well. Also, I wasn't fully aware of it. Maybe we talked about it in the past. So there's books out there that you've written?
I have, my book is called. It's called The Route's Not Taken.
The Route's Not Taken. I'm going to look it up.
A trip through New York's unbuilt subway system.
Well,
and the main one of the main focuses was a line that was going to be built on Burke Avenue. There would have been an extension of the concourse line.
Okay, they're telling me we got to get out of here. Joe, Happy New Year. All the best.
Same to you.
You folks, you can count on look at late December or January 2020. Well, 2020 to getting to 2021. Joe will be back, maybe even before. You never know. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Gary.
Folks, if you have further questions or comments on anything you heard on tonight's show, like God, I love those pictures, or anything going on in the Bronx, email them to us at BronxTalk@BronxNet.org. You send us a tweet at BronxTalk, or you post them on our Facebook page, or send Joe a message as well. Happy and healthy New Year to everybody in the Bronx, and our producer, of course, Helen Greenberg, our director, Nick Marrero, and of course to you. Let's make the beautiful Bronx even more beautiful in 2020. We'll see you next week. Good night.